Hello and welcome to another episode. Now in today's video we're going to be taking a look at some of the most polluted surf destinations and spots on the planet. While you could categorize many different places around the world after heavy rain as being extremely polluted, these places we're about to discuss are particularly bad, and particularly bad for a variety of different reasons as well. So we all know the feeling, right? When you rock up to the beach, it's been raining all night, but the waves are sick, it's offshore, there's A-frames breaking up and down the beach. You know, we all know that scenario. And if you're like me, the first thought that goes through your head is, how bad can it really be, you know, surfing in a bit of dirty water, you know, I'm all right. But when you actually look at the science of it, there's actually quite a significant risk. Exposure and accidental ingestion can be just as harmful, you know. It only takes a splash of foam or a few droplets to go in your mouth or in your eyes to cause harm. From your eyes, your ears, to your skin. Symptoms often come out in the form of rashes, vomiting and diarrhea. I mean, it depends how dirty the water is, right? But there are a lot of places around the world where surfing in this kind of water can give you all of these kind of diseases. And on top of all that, it's just not that pleasant. Now first up, we've got Imperial Beach in San Diego. Now Imperial Beach sits on the border between the US and Mexico, and the Tijuana River runs just to the south of the beach. And the Tijuana River is, for lack of a better description, filthy, with stormwater runoff, untreated sewage, trash and chemicals. And this basically all just runs out into the Pacific. And just a couple hundred meters to the north, you've got Imperial Beach. According to Surfrider Foundation, Imperial Beach in San Diego was declared the most polluted in the entire United States. A report done by Surfrider Foundation reported that 100% of samples taken from the water at Imperial were way over the bacteria limits that are considered safe. And in 2023, the beach was actually closed 322 days. For a beach to be closed for that long shows that the problem isn't going anywhere anytime soon. Please, if you live in this part of the world, let me know what it's like and how bad it actually is. Obviously, I'm just reading various articles online. Next up to Kahalu, which I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. Please excuse me if you're from Hawaii and if you know how to pronounce that. But this break in Hawaii might come as a surprise because Hawaii is famous for having the most pristine waters and beautiful beaches in the world. Nonetheless, Surfrider testing showed that Kahalu was one of the worst and most polluted beaches in the entire United States. It made the top 10 with 89% of samples exceeding safe limits. Now, the causes of this can be put down to polluted waterways and cesspools where sewage overflows into them and then out into the water. You know, and these places are popular for diving, for snorkeling, for swimming, for surfing. So I'm not sure if there is anything that is being done or what can be done to prevent this issue. If you're from this part of the world, please let me know about it as well so we can raise a bit of awareness and educate more people surrounding this subject. Next up, we head to the United Kingdom and specifically to Cornwall, which is home for me, and the spot that we're talking about is literally just out of my window. I can actually see it in the distance from here. Compared to a lot of other places, it pales in comparison in terms of dirty water on a regular basis. But Godrevy Beach, there's a river that runs out onto it called the Red River, and this river passes through a sewage treatment plant further inland from the beach, and after heavy rains the sewage system overflows and leaks into the river and therefore onto the beach. So it's really bad considering this part of the world has some of the most beautiful beaches in the United Kingdom, you know, talking beautiful white sands, amazing coastline, a lot of wildlife. A lot of it is protected natural land. So it still baffles me that this can even happen. I mean, it does rain a lot in the UK, but it doesn't happen all the time. It's not like it's there every single day, but it's something that we've got to consider as surfers in this part of the world. And you know, it's never good when you can't go surfing because the water quality is so bad, especially in a Western modern country like the UK. In the UK, we've got a non-profit organisation called Surfers Against Sewage, and they've got an alert system on their website and app which tells you about water quality in all different parts of the UK, which is really helpful if you want to find out more information. And I'll leave the link in the description so you can find out more about what they do as well. Next up, we've got Canggu in Bali. Now, for any of you who've been to Bali and surfed, particularly in that Canggu, Seminyak, Kuta sort of stretch, especially in wet season, you'll know firsthand just how filthy the water can get here. You know, we're talking putting your hand under the water and not being able to see it just an inch under the surface, filthy brown, plastic, all sorts of rubbish floating around you whilst you're surfing. And although Bali's got this reputation as this surf haven with crystal clear waters, you know, pristine reefs, and it's this beautiful place, if you go there in wet season after heavy rain, you'll be very, very shocked at how dirty and polluted the place can be. And we're not necessarily talking raw sewage floating out into the lineup in Canggu. It's more of urban runoff from, you know, it's so built up in that area that all of the dirt and rubbish that gets left in the inland waterways just gets washed out into the water. So all of a sudden you've got relatively clean waters that turn into this thick brown, like chocolate soup. I've had dozens of surfs there where I've just been like, had plastic like cling to me whilst I've been surfing. Now, I'm a really keen surfer as well, but Canggu is one of the few places on the planet where I've gone to the beach and decided not to surf because of the water pollution. And this happens all over Indonesia as well. The plastic pollution problem there is terrible. But I think the solution to the problem goes a lot further than doing like beach cleanups and picking up the odd plastic bottle. It's got to be sort of stopped closer to the source of the problem, or otherwise we're just going to keep doing that forever and ever. Next up, we head to Japan. Now, this break is polluted for a different reason, and for a much more serious one at that. Now, in 2011, a massive tsunami hit the Japanese coast, and the nuclear reactor on the coast there at Fukushima was flooded and went into meltdown and caused a radioactive leak in the surrounding coastline. Still to this day, there's a 24-kilometer exclusion zone around the area, which includes the neighbouring beach. So what was once a really fun, punchy beach break that was quite a high-performance break, especially for Japan, was no longer surfable for the fact that radiation poisoning was a very real problem. And it still is to this day. Next up, we head to Newcastle, and I'm talking about the Newcastle in the northeast of the UK, not the Australian version north of Sydney. Now, there are multiple spots around this area. Some of them are a lot lesser known and a bit secret, so obviously won't mention them, but the breaks around this area are badly affected from pollution, whether it be sewage, chemical plants, shipping containers passing through. It's a very urban, industrial part of the coast, and the few rare spots that do break in this part of the world are extremely polluted, and the water's brown and cold, and you have huge shipping containers coming past and sewage in the water, and it's just an awful place in terms of water quality. Next up, we head to Rio. Now, the bay in Rio is home to one of the most spectacular harbours on the planet. You know, you've got Sugarloaf Mountain, Christ the Redeemer, one of the most iconic harbours in the world. You've got really fun surf spots all around this coast, including Ipanema, Copacabana, Barra da Tijuca, Itacochira. All these breaks have really, really fun waves on the day, but it's also incredibly polluted in this part of the world. So this area is known as the Guanabara Harbour. It has various different canals feeding into it that run through favelas and different parts of Rio. All of it has raw sewage going into it and then therefore into the harbour, which then gets spread around with currents into the various surf breaks around Rio. So after heavy rain, these breaks around Rio are seriously polluted. I know some of you watching this will be from Brazil and from Rio, so please let me know what it's actually like. I imagine it to be absolutely horrible. So it's a combination of thousands of litres of sewage, industrial discharge and urban runoff that contributes to the pollution of this bay and therefore the surf spots in the area. Now, lastly, we head to New York, and as you'd expect for another dense urban area, one of the biggest cities in the world, huge city on America's East Coast, few surf spots dotted around it, it can be incredibly polluted. It doesn't necessarily come as a surprise, especially the area around Long Island. Mecox Beach in the Southampton area had a 46% high bacteria rate according to Surfrider Foundation, and made its way into the top 10 most polluted beaches in the US. So again, another US beach that is, for lack of a better phrase, filthy. So what can be done about all this? I mean, the general rule avoiding getting sick from surfing in dirty water is to wait 72 hours until that initial rainfall has passed and then dispersed in the water so the bacteria levels can retreat to safe levels. So yeah, I mean, you can do that, which I'm not always going to follow that exact rule. You can wear earplugs to stop it going in your ears. I know I get ear infections quite a lot when I surf because I've got the start of surfer's ear in my left ear. So water often gets trapped and gets infected. The old wives' tale one is that I've heard from Bali is if you're surfing in really dirty water, just drink a Coca-Cola after or get like a shot of arak or straight vodka. I'm not sure if there's any science behind that, but yeah, it's worth a try, I guess. So yeah, wearing earplugs, drinking Coca-Cola or alcohol, or not surfing are probably the three best options. I'm not sure what else you can do apart from that. And then in terms of what you can do out of the water as a more sort of long-term solution to this problem is backing non-profit organizations such as Surfrider if you're in the United States, and SAS, Surfers Against Sewage, if you're in the UK. Now, these organisations both work really hard to raise awareness about this problem to surfers around the world and to the general public, and to hold the relevant parties accountable for these issues. So yeah, in terms of what you can do to support this is either, yeah, share and follow Surfrider and SAS, or contribute financially if you have the means. But otherwise, this is going to be a problem that continues to happen for the foreseeable future, and hopefully will get better with time and with more awareness thanks to the work of Surfrider and SAS. Please let me know what the most contaminated and polluted place you've ever surfed in was, whether it be at your local beach after a particular rainstorm, or if you've traveled to somewhere else in the world and it's been ridiculously polluted. I'd love to hear your stories. So thanks for watching. Thanks as always for the support. Hope you've enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe if you have. For now, it's goodbye from me, and I'll see you in the next episode.